facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Hello, 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 you beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. We're on this extraordinary win-win-women platform.com and .tv, and we are now streaming with Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and soon to be on all your favorite podcasts with Podetize. I'm so excited about that partnership. Can't even tell you. And today is Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. Already, this year's flying, isn't it? So I'm going to have, I had Michael and Gail, their miracle story last week, unbelievable story of overcoming death, basically, with Michael. And then, so I thought, well, why don't I just do miracles and overcoming stories for us, maybe even a little series, or maybe it's my format, who knows? But we're going to need today a rock star warrior named Shawnte. She's doing incredible things, leaving him. She's just on fire. So first, I want to just tell you, I'm so incredibly grateful and honored to have you take your time to listen live or later and just be a part of our story here as we continue to grow this little show. Who knew it was going to come along? I didn't. But when intriguing opportunities present themselves and you say yes, things show up. And that's my message, and that's Shawnte as well. So if you hang on to the end, you join us on the Zoom. If you hang on to the end, we'll bring on the gallery and have conversation, Q&A, kind criticisms, build community towards the end of our show. If you'd like to hang on for that, would love to have you. You're also welcome to chat in the Zoom chat. I don't read them live, but I do read them. So love to hear from you. Today, as always, I always start with a breathing exercise, a mini meditation, and it takes 22 seconds. I encourage you to do it multiple times a day when you're out and about. Just centers you. So what we're going to do is breathe in for 7 seconds. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. We're going to breathe out for 11 seconds, breathing in calm and breathing out gratitude. So here we go. Join me if you will. Breathe in 7 seconds, calm. Hold. Breathe out, gratitude, release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It helps me, and I'm sure it helps you just to get a little more grounded and centered. And I'm so grateful to have you take part of that. And let's just, the whole world could just settle down a little bit. I think we'd be better off, don't you? So I'm so excited. As always, I'm always excited because that's me. But I've got a guest on fire today. She is beyond amazing, and she's got so many irons in the fire. We met, I think it was the last big event that I went to, and most of us probably in that group went to in 2020. I think it was the end of February 2020, before we kind of started staying home all the time, and met Shawnte. She's got an incredible story. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She lives in my vicinity, the DFW area. I'm excited about that. And so I'm going to bring on my friend and firecracker, Miss Shawnte Kinney. And Shawnte, if you will, just introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about who you are and about who you are in this world, and then a bit about what you do. And we'll go in further that.
Hey, Charla, I am so excited to be here. I do appreciate you for inviting me onto the show. And like you, I am excited. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Shawnte Kinney. I am me. right? I am the owner and founder of Next Level Magazine. I am a full-time litigation paralegal, which I've been doing since I was about 19 years old. And I know it's hard to tell, but I am going to be 45 this year. God has been really blessing me. So what I do, the gist of what I do is I use my story to inspire other women. My goal is to inspire action, inspire movement, and to give women a voice. For so long in my life, I did not have a voice. I did not know what I sounded like. I didn't know my identity. I was lost in a world of obligation, guilt, pain, all sorts of things. And I went on a journey starting in 2016 when I decided that my life was just in chaos and I wanted to get healed and I wanted to be whole, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally, in every area of my life. And God took me on a journey of healing. And through that journey, I got whole, I got healed, my soul got free. Because for so many years, it had been in bondage because I had stopped listening to her. I didn't know my voice. I didn't know my value. I didn't know my worth. And so I kind of wandered through life. And I thank God that I found him, I found me, I found my voice, I found my purpose. And now it's just sharing the story, having conversations from the other side of pain, from the other side of brokenness, and just encouraging and inspiring not just women. I mean, work with women, I talk with women, but even the men are jumping on board and just needing that inspiration and needing to hear the other side of tragedy, the other side of trials, the other side of pain, the other side of heartache, and just talk about it. And so that's what God has blessed me and allowed me to do. And that's what I do. I use everything that I have to inspire others. That's what I do.
The other side of trauma was the word that kept coming to me while you're saying that, none of us are immune, right? Every single one of us has stories. Every last one of us has stories. And by the way, I'll just throw this out here now. If you want to tell your story, please direct message me somewhere and we'll just talk about that, because everyone has stories and all of us can inspire others through our overcoming. And Shawnte is especially gifted at telling her story. I was just curious if you are okay to share it. There was a moment in time that you woke up. I mean, it was a moment in time that you went, enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. And you started trying to break the chains, trying to break free of the limitations that we put on ourselves, but we're trained to do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I don't mind. Please feel free to ask me anything. I'm really and truly an open book. My moment, if you would say, it was a combination of a lot of things. There were a lot of moving pieces in my life that got me to that moment. And that moment happened in the very end of December 2015. And it was basically, I woke up, I went into the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I was disgusted with myself. My life had just been, as we were talking earlier, my life had just been in chaos. I had no balance. I felt like I was a chameleon. Because I had for years had just readjusted myself to fit every role and be everything for everybody in my life. I was
a pleaser.
Yes, the essential woman. I call her the essential woman, that one that everybody needs, where everybody puts, oh, you can do it, just that one who's constantly running to everybody's aid and is the strong one. I was with church and work and my marriage, my family, friends, the whole 9 yards. I was that one, not by anybody else's design, but that was the role that I chose and I stepped into. And I couldn't even fault anybody. It took me years to get to the point where I had to realize and accept that I put myself there. Did nobody say this is your role and you're going to play it? I chose that role for a lot of reasons relating to trauma. And by the time I woke up in 2015, life was just bad. I was finally at a point in time where I was like, enough is enough. Because one of the things that I did recognize, that person in the family who is the person, the grandma that everybody can't live without, the strongest person in the family that everybody can't live without, they're also the ones that die first. and they died empty, never fulfilling their own dreams and being who they were meant to be, because they serve so many people and they give so much of themselves. And I realized I hadn't been taking care of myself. I had no control over my emotions. My finances were in a raise. My marriage was crazy. I myself, internally, mentally, emotionally, I mean, there was no balance within me. And then I looked around in my life and everybody around me was in shambles. I say this, when you go into chaos, you think it's just limited to you. But when you're in a chaotic situation, everybody in your life, believe it or not, is in a chaotic situation, especially if you are the head of the family, because everybody's only going to do what the head does. But I looked around and it was just, my skin was bad. I was overweight. I was an addict. I mean, I had no self-control, no discipline. I couldn't continue in anything, no time management skills, but I was still the best. I was still the best at what I did. I was still the best at who I was. But for me, I was failing me miserably. I was satisfying everybody else, but failing myself miserably. And the walls that I had perfectly constructed throughout my entire life to deal with childhood trauma, to deal with the effects of being that quote unquote essential woman, that one who because everybody doesn't care about your feelings when you are the person. You're the one that they dump everything on, and just taking on all of that strong woman persona. I had constructed walls to keep that, to compartmentalize all this stuff. And those were slowly coming down. They were slowly coming down. And so in 2015, when I looked at myself, I was like, okay, God, I finally hear you. You wanted life to break me, because that's what I now know. I needed to get to a breaking point. I needed to run, I call it, I needed to run out of road, because as long as there was road, I was going to keep going because I was that person. But once I made it to the end of the road where there was no room, there's no room for you to turn around. There's nothing that you can do. There's no way that you can fix this, Shawnte. And now that you're at the point where you have done all that you can do, now it's time for you to turn around. Now God was like, now I can step in. And he had to get me to that point. And though it was a dark time in my life, it was also a very beautiful and awakening time in my life. And I walked out of 2015 with the mindset, I'm going to be healed. And so that started my journey. That started my journey. I did a lot of things, one of which was exercise. I started where at first I couldn't continue in the exercise routine. Once my mindset changed, come hell or high water, for an entire year, that entire year in 2016, I put no results to, I didn't attach any results to exercise, but I made myself go to the gym or do some level of exercise, walking or whatever, every single day for an entire year, so that I could, what I call, become accountable to consistency. And people laugh at me because I would get dressed at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would get up, get completely dressed, and go touch the gym, touch the treadmill, and then turn back around and go get back in the bed. But I created the habit of getting started and doing something and making it part of my life because I was determined. I began to work on my emotions. I began to work on my spirit. I began to study the character of God and figure out, what I say, the way that it actually happened. God is he's so amazing because he directed me in it. But it was 2 questions. The first of which being the first question that God asked in the Bible: where are you? And it was that realization of asking myself, where am I in my emotions? Where am I in my finances? Where am I in my relationships? Where am I with myself? And I made a list. I'm like, this is, I was finally honest with myself. This is where I am. And then God asked me, he was like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? And I was like, I want to be healed. That's the only thing that I want. But I didn't know what a healed me looked like. And so I began to really research that. I began to visualize that. I began to just imagine, like, what she looked like, what kind of clothes did she wear, what type of books did she read, where did she live, how did her hair look, what did her skin look like, who were the people that she hung out with, and what were things that she did every day. And I began to really research that and looking around at different people who inspired me. And I studied the character of God, and I wanted to, healed me, embodied his character. And so I began to work on that. And then I just became intentional. I became intentional about everything in the middle of this change, in the middle of this transformation, like smack dead in the middle of it. My husband decides that he wanted a divorce.
So listen, you are, oh my gosh, I just got emotional and, teary when you said that the go-to person, the strong person in the family dies first. Oh my gosh, that gave me chills. And that was a truer, no truer statement, is that people that are used and abused and are empty inside typically don't survive well, if at all, right? So that was powerful. And then this commitment, some spark lit in you in that moment in time. And a lot of us look at ourselves and go, I need to do something, but oh yeah, so what? I'll start tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And you literally took an action step to be consistent on one thing, because me going to the gym isn't it. I mean, it would not work for me. I don't want to get up and do that. That's not mine. However, the thing that I've chosen to do commitment wise, maybe on a daily basis, is a meditation, or something mm-hmm. like that. But mm-hmm. So for our audience, that wants hope, that wants to shift their trauma, their life, and they're just lost, and so much is habits, it's managing. And honestly, I don't like to say that word because I'm always honest. Right? It's managing urges.
I agree with that.
See that where, mm-hmm. so you want to stop cursing or drinking or whatever, smoking, whatever it is. Nobody else is shoving those things in your mouth, right? You are the one, and it's after an urge. And so if you manage urges instead of quitting something, I don't know where all that just came from, but anyway, to me, it's very strongly connected to what we want to have in our lives. And everything we are the only ones that have the choice to change. Nobody else is going to do it. There is no fairy godmother that's going to wave a magic wand and put you in the castle. You're your own Cinderella to put yourself in the castle and love yourself enough to take those, whatever works for you. Mm-hmm. And so that, I think that the story is amazing, and we are overcomers, and we do what we have to do. And when we are such pleasers, and we are I'm just a born pleaser. I want everybody to be happy. No ways. I'll just do it. And if you're going to do it, so this is maybe a key. If you're going to do it anyway, love it.
Well, yeah.
Love it. Don't be resentful of people because they're taking advantage of you. I'm going to do it because I'm not going to draw into the drama around it. I'm just going to gracefully love people. Mm-hmm. So if you're already going to do it anyway, you can shift from this, they're always, to maybe I can just bless them in this circumstance. And then remember that that's taking care of me as well.
Well,
I think where that came from.
I think a lot of it, even myself included, we're a product of our environment, and we're going to live out what's lived before us. And so love encompasses so many things. It's so big. And when you're going to love is what I found. This is what I found to be true about my life and a few people that I've encountered. You're going to love people based upon the way that you've been shown love and taught how to give love. And sometimes that's not the most healthy, right? And sometimes what I've realized, what was true for me, is I had a very limited view of what love was. And so everybody in my world, they looked at love as being this. You got, you giving every ounce of all of you and doing all of this. And, and so as I was giving, I thought that it was from a place of love based upon what I knew love to be at the time. And I was serving and giving and loving from that place. But while that love was serving everybody else, that love was not fulfilling me.
So you got,
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember reading something that, I was raised very fundamental religion, and I think that you were as well, that God in a box, very small rules and regulations. And when I've realized that God doesn't have a box, and he's, it's about relationship, not religion, that we can walk more in that his total love without judgment, without, with grace and with gratitude being the key, then we have an opportunity to truly start loving ourselves. And we can't do it if we don't love ourselves. And so many people don't know how to do that. So that's what your message is so huge for. Oh, I was going to say the religious thing, that God in a box. Did you come from that?
Yes, I was raised a straight Pentecostal, Church of God in Christ. And while there was, and I'm so grateful for my raising, do not get me wrong. I'm grateful for the teaching of the church. I'm grateful for that foundation, because it basically saved my life. It did. It literally saved my life. If I did not have that basic fundamental relationship understanding, I would literally be lost. But there was a lot that was not fully taught or fully appreciated that I had to go on this journey in order to understand. And one of which really was understanding that the love of God is so much bigger than this small space that we bring.
Rules and regulations, right and wrong. We had to follow these instructions, and it's very, very small instead of just the freedom of loving. So if you want to, or if you're open to it, because we're talking about overcoming, and I believe that the vast majority of us have childhood trauma that happened. Do you care to address that briefly, about how as a child you were misled and abused?
Well, I was, as a child, I come from a huge family of 7, 5 girls, 2 boys. Oh, wow. And I am the third, the third overall, second oldest girl. And so we did not grow up in the ideal situation. We were in poverty, but we had each other. And there was a lot that went on in our life. My mom, strongest woman I know, did the best she could. 7 children, single mother. She kept all of us. She knew where she wanted us to, the type of children that she wanted us to be, and different things like that. But there were a lot of things that happened. There were some things, and we tell her this all the time, some things she did good, some things she did wrong. And it is what it is. And so there's so many things, there's so many small things that I've had to even overcome as an adult from my childhood. Big dramas. I was sexually abused as a child. And so I had to overcome that. And part of my journey was releasing not so much the anger of that, because I forgave that a long time ago, but I didn't forgive myself. I didn't forgive God. And so there was, part of my desire and my giving of so much of myself to people over the years was to fill that gap and to fill that void, and to find a voice for that little girl who lost her voice when she was really young. And so there's so many things, just learning how to even speak as a kid who, the way we were raised. And I was just thinking about this the other day, the way we were raised, children are seen and not heard. And so my voice was stifled a whole lot. And so I didn't know what I sounded like. I didn't know what was in me. And so I had to overcome that. Just all sorts of small things, some big things, but we are constant. And I tell this to everybody, every last one of us have PTSD from something in our life. We're all overcoming something. And the key is to not let it get you. It's to keep moving. To always keep moving. And that's what I tell everybody. Just keep moving. You cannot
learn and win if you are sitting on that couch and never moving. So one of the things you just said remind me, and this my little book that is Candy Bar Hugs. It doesn't take much to make a difference. Tiny book, big message, getting ready to be released in hardback with Beyond Publishing. Excited about that. But the dedication to my children is like, it says, I did what I did. I didn't do what I didn't do. I did all that I knew to do with what I knew at the time, just like you did and are doing in your life right now. I love you. And so it's a release of, we're all doing all we know to do. At any given moment, we're doing all we know to do. And, it doesn't always affect others. People take things personally and people make assumptions, which is, comes from that book, The Four Agreements, which I love. What if we gave that up? And I believe you've done a whole lot of just giving up what's wrong and embracing what's good and light. And, so yeah, I know that you wrote a book it's called Don't Be Bitter, right? Don't be bitter. And so often we walk around with this cloud that they did this to me. And so now I can't, I've got this,
chip on my
got to be
shoulder.
offended by everything. And and it's a very low energy place to be if you're offended all the time. And if you're, but this, anyway, go ahead. You were going to answer that.
Well, the reality is that I think a lot of people aren't even aware that they're holding offense. They're not aware that they're holding offense. They're not aware that they're holding pain. And so people they're reacting.
They're doing what they do, right?
Yeah, they're doing what they do. And especially, again, we get back to, we're going to live out the life that's lived in front of us. If this is if everybody in your life responds like this, if everybody in your life does this is a normal thing. This is, when you look around, this is normal for you, then it's hard to step out of that and see that it's not normal. And that was part of my journey when I looked out and I'm like, everybody's doing the same thing. And this is not working for any of us. And so I had to separate like God and I was raised in the church. I love God with every ounce of my being. So I talk about him all the time, but like God called Abraham, you got to come out from what you're familiar with and you have to go somewhere else. And it's stepping out of that world, stepping out of that chaos, stepping out of that moment and becoming aware and kind of going and looking back. You talk about the 4 agreements. And one of the ones that I love more than anything is 7 habits of highly effective people. And one of the habits is seek first to understand. And so you have to step out of it and then look back in it and try to get an understanding of it. And that was one of the ways that it got me to the point where where I was able to understand my mom did the best that she could based upon what she had, what she knew at the time. And then I began to look at her entire situation and look at, what age she was when I was coming up, being that very hard to deal with 13, 14, 15-year-old girl who was in such a dark place, full of so much anger, trying to kill herself, was just mad at the world and how she was responding to that and still being her, but also having to deal with 6 other kids. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I have a lot of children and so and I've gone through and I was one. Junior high is the worst place on earth. I mean, really, middle school years is those teachers that teach those people. Oh my gosh. I have a saying, if they were born at 14, there wouldn't be any. They come out so cute. I would not have wished me now that I'm standing here on anybody, but I give my mama so much credit because again, I'm like, oh, she was doing the best she could. Well, and people were reacting.
I give myself the same grace. And now I understand that even with all the people the things that I was doing, I'm like, they were doing what they knew to do. That was their role. And I can't be mad at them.
Don't you feel like we've lived a life in that regard as reactionary rather than creating? We're reacting to what's going on and it seems like it's all chaos and hasn't gotten better in our world. I'm outrageously optimistic that it is getting better, but we hadn't seen it yet much. But
it depends on how you look.
But we're always reacting instead of being. The one word I want to say begins with an R, and I'm not finding it, but instead of creating your life moment by moment and having a little bit of a plan. I believe, it's already 33 minutes here. So what I believe we've got the key to shifting. I believe there's one key that can begin the shift. First of all, you said recognizing it, but gratitude, starting being thankful just for able to breathe. We've got free oxygen out here. What a blessing is that on this side of the dirt? What a blessing is that? We wake up, if we started with the thank you mantra, everything is in thank you. Even if we don't like what's happening, we still can be in gratitude. We still can.
That's what I'm saying. You have the power to change any situation simply by the way that you look at it. The way that you look at it, you can
perspective. It's called your perspective.
You can get up every morning and your life could be in absolute shambles. But what I tell people, before you complain, give God thanks for two things. Before you complain about anything, say thank you for two things, and then see if you still want to complain. But we can choose the way we look at every situation. We can choose the way we handle every situation. We have that power, and it's learning that, because everybody doesn't know that I have the power to choose it. It's
a new muscle, right? I mean, once you realize it, you took a commitment to go to touch that gym every single day, whether you did it or not, but that created the habit, the commitment, the empowerment of do it or don't. I am committed, and I believe I would call it not a small thing, but basically that decision I am committed no matter what. I'm going to love myself enough to honor my commitment to myself.
Yes. Commit to commitment.
And there's so much more to your story, but so as we are wrapping up, you've got a book or multiple books, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to talk about the things about habits. And I want, you had a part of a book or something about habits, and habits are huge. Just one tiny little habit, and choosing. It's all choice. Everything is choice. You get to choose. And you have, let's just talk. You've gone from trauma to leaving a legacy. This is where you are. You literally are on fire every step of the way. You're at the gym every day. You are at work in a full, hard, power-driven job every day. You are doing, by the way, we're on winwinwomen.tv right now, and Shawnte has her own show that will be Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time on winwinwomen.tv. And your channel my channel is Be Empowered. Your channel is Transformation. And you've got your own live TV show. You've got podcasts. You've got books. You've got events. You've got a magazine. And for you to come on today on my show after your launch yesterday, which is, if anybody knows anything about a launch, wow. So you birthed the baby yesterday. So, the launch of your second edition, I think is what it is, right? So what is all that tied up in a bow, and where can they find you, and how can we get more connected with Shawnte?
You can find me at nextlevel.org, NEXLEVEL, not with the T, but next, NEXLEVEL. I can't say it. But nextlevel.org, it'll take you to everywhere and everything connected to me. I'm on every platform, or at least I'm trying to be. Because there are, as God reminds me, there is somebody who needs to hear your message. And so you have to be intentional about being wherever that person is and putting it out there so that she can connect and so she can hear. So you can connect with me on all social media platforms. Nextlevel.org will get you to our Next Level magazine, which is equipping women with actionable tools they can use in their life to take their life from chaos to balance.
Even for teens. I thought you had a teen article, which is awesome. Who needs it more than them? So
we wanted to have a place. We wanted to give teens a place to speak, breaking the silence, giving them a place to speak. And different people are sharing their stories. I'm all about stories, connecting with women who want to share their stories of how they successfully manage challenging situations so that they can share it with others and inspire them and let them know, I've been there. I've gone through what you've gone through, and you can come out. There is hope on the other side. And this is what I did. And you may not walk the same walk that they walk, but if you hear enough stories from enough women, you can say, okay, she had something that helped me, and I'm gonna take a piece of that helped me. But just giving you some tools for your journey, because we don't know what your journey looks like, but God knows what your journey is. And our job is to give you the tools. Now you have this tool bag. And when you face whatever situation you face, you can actually go into the tool chest and pull out a weapon and fight that situation with that weapon. That's what my goal is, to help women, just empower women with those tools, gratitude and just grace, giving yourself grace and learning delayed gratification, teaching women how to be committed to commitment, commit to consistency, all these practical things that you do every day. That's what it is.
And love yourself enough that you can take those small steps, those small disciplines repeated daily. And you get to remember Jim Rohn is like a small discipline, a step. If you take an apple a day or a candy bar a day, tomorrow you may not notice the difference, but in 6 months you probably would. So it's an incremental.
The same way it comes on is how it comes off. It's a step at a time.
But we just want people to, every one of you out here, we're all overcomers. And if you can take a deep breath right this second, you've been provided for some way or another. You may not like your circumstances, but you can't change the last circumstance or last week or last minute. You can only change the next one, and take a deep breath and make a different choice. That is the only way, or really, that's all you have. You don't have another minute besides this one, or a second. You only have this one. So take the next second with a different one step more positive than you did last step, and it draws good more. If you're doing good, it draws more good to you. The law of attraction is real. And so take that next step that makes a difference in your life in a positive way. That
it's called inspired right action. That's what I call it. Inspired right action.
I love that. And
I tell everybody,
action is a huge piece. And you have a life designed to inspire action. It was on your website, and I love that. And so one of the things I've said is, like, you can't change the world. You can change your world, which changes the world. And that means perhaps a smile to somebody, picking up a piece of trash, going out of your way to a little bit just to give grace to somebody, all of those things, a small action, and it raises the energy of everyone around you. So I'm going to go ahead, and this time goes so fast. I'm telling you, I love talking with people, and here it is time. So we're going to have to just close this portion, but if anybody is live, we can have a live conversation afterwards. Let me close this portion by saying we're on winwinwomen.com weekly and all of the streaming services. Shawnte will have a show at 7:00 tonight. Winwinwomen.tv has a plethora with a goal of having round the clock global shows. It's worth taking a look at and watching us grow. It's a beautiful group of women making a big difference.
Women supporting women. And our desire is to see you win. That's a win every day in life. Our goal is to see you win. And so there's something for you every day to help you win the day. That's the goal, to help you win the day. And if you win the day enough times, you're going to make some change.
Exactly. Or even sometimes it's just win the minute. Sometimes it's just, no, I'm going to wait to have that glass of wine until, later. And, you can do a few different times later, several times, until it's like, I don't even want it right now. So example. So the way I end my show is like, my name means joy in Greek. It means chat in Spanish. And I always just like to end with just choose joy. And then I'm going to keep recording, and then we can get the gallery on. If I can figure out how to do that. And if anybody's out there wants to continue the conversation, we have a hard out at 1:59 at the latest. So I'm incredibly grateful for you, Shawnte. This has been amazing. I love talking with you.
I appreciate you for having me.
I wonder what I can do here, gallery. Is there anybody out there that wants to join in? I just, on my side, I only see the four, you and me with our other.
Yeah.
So, and that's so far, we're still new here. We're learning, and that's okay. I'm so incredibly grateful for this opportunity and this platform to learn new skills, to meet new people and share. I do believe you and me, many of us on When Women are going to be on global platforms, stages globally, because that's who Paula is. That's who she is. She's been doing it for 40 something years. So that is where we're headed. I'm excited.
I am too.
You've really shared a lot, and you've given so much wisdom, and you've got such a heart to shift one person at a time, and maybe many one of these days. But people need to understand that they don't have to be stuck where they are.
No, I agree. One of the things that God told me when I started my journey, while we're waiting on questions, because I used to ask all the time, God, change the situation, change the situation, change the situation, change it. And God was like, I don't have to change your situation. I don't have to change your situation, Shawnte. If I change you, then you'll change your situation. And that's the sum and substance of what happened. I was transformed, a new mind, transformed heart, new way of seeing. I didn't realize that the way that I was looking at life was through dirty glasses. And so
a little bit about poor me, and it's all about me. And when we realize it has very little to do with us, and what anybody says or does is nothing to do with us, basically. That's the foreground. Don't take things personally, because I tell my grandkids, nobody can hurt your feelings without your permission.
True.
Nobody can make you angry without your permission. Let it go. Don't, unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, not unconditional boundaries. That doesn't mean take things that you shouldn't take.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stand in your own power, so often a bully can't bully you because you have compassion for the hurt 5-year-old that's inside of that bully that doesn't know how to love themselves enough. Mm-hmm. And when you can learn that we're all just in this world trying to get along as best we can. Right?
All of us are trying to survive, just trying to make it as you say, as best we can, based upon what we have.
And grace. I just giving yourself the grace, I messed up, but that doesn't mean it's permanent. It means I got opportunity now to make take another deep breath, take a different step, different direction, and apologize. So if you mess up, you apologize. Look, I made this. To me, the word integrity is huge. And so when you mess up, because you will, whatever you promised, make a new agreement and move forward and live in your integrity and and honoring your word, honoring your word. So many of us, I think, don't just take that lightly. Take that honoring your word lightly. They don't. I feel like that it seems like, there's a little white lie or whatever, but no, it's who you are. Whatever you say after the words I am is who you are.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
And I don't believe that people recognize that when they say, I am so sick, I'm so tired, I don't believe that they're creating their world, and it's who they are in that moment. And the I am is the breath of life. So
I agree with all of that.
Yeah, well, and we're on the same, let's make a difference. How can we make a difference? That's where we are.
God, like I tell people all the time, God has put something in every last one of us. I literally just wrote a post about this today. Growing up, I was always told by one person or another that I talk too much. You talk too much, you got a big mouth. Or I was always in trouble in school for asking too many questions. People just did not like me because I asked too many questions. But there is a reality that exists. God has put something in each and every one of us to benefit this world and to benefit others. And he's given us all an opportunity to serve. There is a message in each and every one of us. There is a story in all of us. There's talent in all of us to help change the world, but it starts with us. It starts with us. It starts with that self-love and that self-realization and finding you and accepting you and healing all of those broken parts of you such that you are not recreating another broken you. And so that's where it starts. Once you do the work, and it is work. Let's not play around. It is work. It's work to get here. It is. And it's work to maintain it. It's work to maintain.
But the alternative is not pretty.
No, it is not. According to us, it is not. But once you do the work, there's something so powerful about you. There's something powerful about every last one of us. And it's the one thing that I know more than anything in the world, that there is no power greater than the power within you. There is power in you to shift and to change every situation. So it may be an is, but that is not the is. And you have the power to change what that is. It's just, are you willing to? Are you willing to look for the light instead of look for the darkness? Are you willing to look for the good?
Exactly. Find the good, because there is good everywhere in every situation. If you are thankful, even if it's a horrific situation, you just be grateful that you can take a breath and you're okay in that split second of a moment. We've got that. In everything, give thanks. You've heard that, in everything, give thanks.
Mhm.
Everything doesn't mean only when it's good.
Yeah.
Everything means because it is taking us and I was thinking about asking you about regrets earlier. And I was like, it didn't get to it, but would I change things? Yeah. Go back to 20. Are you kidding me? I'll change everything. But with the understanding and realization, I wouldn't shake. There's so many things I would, if I had done this, and I don't go there now, but I was like, every single solitary thing since Let There Be Light has brought you and me having this conversation right here, right now. Every decision in the whole universe, and 12 generations back, and if they hadn't met, you wouldn't be here. I mean, so everything has brought us to be.
I would not change not one thing. I wouldn't change.
I'm talking about in reality, if I was 20 again and I could go, maybe I should, I'm it's kind of flippantly saying that because everything has brought us to having this conversation right here, right now. And I love it.
Well, true. If somebody literally on the show the other week asked me if I could change anything, would I have done anything different when I started my journey? And with the exception of saying that I would have communicated more with my husband, I think about that all the time in life. And I give God thanks for every single thing I've had to endure in life, because every single thing I've had to do or that has happened, good, bad, or indifferent, has been the leading cause for me sitting where I am today. And where I am today is where I've always desired to be. And
it's the only place we have to take the next step from.
So,
this is it. We don't have another place where we are. I don't care where you are. It's all you got.
Yeah.
It's all, we don't have all this wishful thinking or, all we have is where we are, period.
Yeah.
Period. And so you might as well give yourself grace and take, a deep breath and love it as it is, because when you do that, then you have clarity on how to take the next step.
How to take the next step. Yes, the next step opens up, and the next right inspired action becomes very clear.
And it gives you, so I feel like there's so many people reactionary, like we said before, and watching, and we've numbed ourselves. We're watching this so much programming coming in that is not to our benefit and has been totally, it's called programming for a reason. So anyway, so maybe just taking the last word, and because we got to shut down here, but the last is just taking responsibility and turning off your devices for a few minutes, just 5 minutes a day, and standing in the grass or rubbing a tree or, holding a rock, even holding a rock. Now I've got a little, I feel like this grounding that happens, we're missing that with all our electronics and stuff. So maybe just taking a few minutes, the 22 seconds to take a little mini meditation like we did, just a place to start.
Million little things. There are a million little things intentional. It's intentional. You have to be intentional. You have to set your intentions and stick to those intentions. I say this all the time, you have to know where you are, but you gotta be clear on where you want to go. If you want to be a happier person, you have to know that. You have to realize what that happiness looks, go figure out what happiness looks like, even if happiness isn't seen around you. Do the work to go figure it out. And then don't delay stepping into that place, even if you're not there. Don't delay becoming that person. How would she act? And that's what I used to tell myself all the time. How would a healed me talk? And how a healed me would talk, I would imagine how a healed me would talk. And so that's how I started talking. Those were the words that I started using. And then soon they just became the language that I use. And I released the old language that I used to have, that I can't, and I'm ugly, and I can't do this.
I'm too tired. I'll do it late. All those excuses. It's excuses.
Yeah. Well, it becomes a mindset. It doesn't even be, you
mindset.
As excuses. It's just a mindset. It's just something that you're so used to. And when everybody around you uses the same language, you're like, this is our normal language. This is our culture. This is familiar to us. This is home. And you have to, sometimes you have to make
you can be really comfortable in chaos because that's what you're comfortable with. And I mean, that's a very close to home story about that. But, you can be very comfortable in crisis and in crisis, because you can, then that's your, if it's not being crisis, then you can create the crisis so that you can come in and save the day. Your mind's, your mode is like, I want to save the day. I'm the knight in shining armor. I want to come in and save the day. So if things are going well, it's not that they like it. It's like that they aren't comfortable in smooth sailing. So that's another aspect of all of this. We could talk for hours and days, and we will have lunch soon, I hope, or something. And I love you so much. And thank you for your time. I know you're busier than as anybody I know, I guess, but I'm so proud of you. I'm so thrilled that we were able to meet and connect. And here we are, 4 years later? Yes. 3 years later, whatever. But we had a great ride, and I think it's our time.
Yeah,
it's our time.
Everything happens in the season it's supposed to happen in.
For such a time as this.
Yes.
So blessings to you, girlfriend, and we will be in touch, and we'll get this up and see where it goes. Love you so very much. You inspire me.
Thank you. You know what? My job is to show up. Any opportunity given.
Exactly. Say yes when intriguing opportunities present themselves, and you say yes, things show up. And it has to be kind of intriguing opportunity, because opportunities are unlimited. So, well, we'll shut her down, and you be take care of yourself. We'll be in touch for sure.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Love you too. Bye.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show. Encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.